all these different yoga paths are going to be talking about thoughts. And what are they? You know, like from the empirical, like say from the field of empiric science, let's say, a lot of theories, the prominent theory is that your thoughts are just these kind of like, it's a chemical process going on in your brain, and things are getting fired there, you know. But that's, and so you think you're hearing the voice of God. No, it's just a chemical thing that's going on in your brain. No, I'm not saying you. I'm saying this is their response to like someone who's saying, well, you did say that sometimes you feel a deep conviction. They would argue that deep conviction is just a chemical thing going on in your brain. And then there'd be like psychiatrists that are going to analyze like the mind, right? Which is something that you can't see and touch. Like the empiricist wants to talk about the brain because that's their field of study, and the psychiatrist or psychologist is talking about the field of the mind. And they look at the patterns of the mind, and they're saying, oh, you know, that voice that you heard was like your search for stability and meaning in life in response to other things that have happened to you in your past. And, you know, they'll analyze it like that. And the Bhagavatam's analysis is saying that you are this spark of conscious energy. You have your own thoughts without the brain and even without the mind. But it's all being filtered through a mind and manifesting in your body through your brain. And then that's sending off all these chemicals in your body, so that like when you feel a certain emotion, your heart starts to beat at a different rate, or different chemicals in the body are released that have physical effects and so on. But so we're saying that we are the spark of spiritual energy, and we have something called free will. And this is the subtle part, and this is where it gets more nuanced than just like, okay, I accept God, so now God speak to me. Because we're telling God what Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad-gītā, that I'm situated in the hearts of every living entity, right? And what's it? Matas smritir jnanam apohanam cha. That from me come knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness.
So you get the memory from God. You also get forgetfulness too.
Yeah, right.
Krishna can let you forget and act so you can just act out on your passions.
Well, why would he do that? I've turned to him and I've said, now I believe in you. But he's saying, well, you're giving me mixed messages, and I'm responding to the mixed messages. Because on one hand, you're saying you and but you, but on the other hand, you're saying, I'm seeking my happiness in this way. I'm seeking my happiness in that way. I'm seeking my happiness in all these different ways. And if you want that, I'll give it to you. And so we don't know that we're actually hearing, we might be hearing the voice of God speaking to us from within the heart, this Paramātmā within the heart, speaking to us directly, giving us a clear, undiluted message. Or we may be hearing messages that are programmed within our mind, that we've built that mind based on our desires over the course of even maybe more than just this like one lifetime. So we have to really become completely let go of these separate desires. And then he said, oh, if you have no separate desires, then I will speak directly to you. Then you'll as Raghunath was saying, if you just want to be my instrument, then I'll be giving you knowledge and remembrance and forgetfulness, so that you'll be operating fully as my instrument with your own free will. You'll be operating as my instrument in this world.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Supersoul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a Bhakti Yoga podcast. I almost said passport. I've been thinking about passports lately.
Podcast is the easy part, whether it's daily or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
A Bhakti Yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City, my good friend, Kaustubha. Welcome to the show. Welcome, everybody. We're here live at Supersoul Farm for a special live Q&A day. And we haven't been doing Q&A days, and we haven't been doing weekends, but we have our Wisdom of the Sages retreat this week, and we're getting to meet people. The Chicago crew is here. Woo! Our local, right? And our locals like Krishna Mai is here, and Maya, Ramit Pandit and Carla are here. Of course, Lori Pag and the Chief are here. We got people cruising in from Kentucky
Maine.
that are here. We got CJ. I don't even know who CJ was, but people are all coming up to me and going, "Yeah, CJ. Oh, back to CJ. Back to CJ." I was like, "Who is this CJ?" That everybody's talking about. And then as soon as I got here, I fell in love with Bhakti CJ. I was saying yesterday in the morning sharing that that usually I've done a lot of yoga retreats, Costa Rica and surfing and yoga and stuff like that. And then more and more they become more and more Bhakti exclusive Bhakti retreats. But in the old days of just sort of like a yoga retreat, it was very much blended in with vacation. How can I have a vacation and enjoy my senses? Which is the opposite of yoga, which is how can I give instead of being a taker? And so it's different when we do these retreats, because in the old paradigm of a yoga retreat, you were thinking, okay, where's my room? Oh, it's too drafty in here. Or where's my room? I get this room. Why do I get this room? I was here first, or I signed up first, or I wanted the bigger room. I wanted my own room. I wanted my solo room. And it's all about I, me, and mine, right? Isn't it? The whole retreat is about I, me, and mine. I ordered a gluten-free. This isn't gluten-free. Did you check for gluten? Who's the cook? And you throw all these demands and expectations on your world. I wasn't expecting you to look like this. Didn't look like this in the pictures. It's not the mood at a Bhakti retreat. Bhakti CJ shows up. Jeremiah shows up. Brian Hanover shows up. They start washing dishes. And then, what can I serve you? How can I serve you? You need heavy boxes lifted? I'll lift them. You want me to sandblast the chimney? I'll do it. It's like these people have this attitude of gratitude and of giving, and you don't see that in the material world. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. We were saying in yoga class today that the goal of yoga, when we talk about healing, real healing is to understand you're a pure spirit soul. When you understand I'm a pure spirit soul, I'm part of something bigger. I'm not here to be the center. I'm here to serve the center. When we get that, our life clicks into a flow, like a current down a river. And we fight that so desperately. We fight that to try to be the controller, the enjoyer, the center, and it breaks us. What do you think about that, Kaustubha?
Yeah, okay. Gus, I agree with
Breaks
you.
us.
Yeah.
Breaks us.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's a fact that there's a special environment created when everybody's coming in that mood. If everyone just had the mood of bhakti, we'd have peace in our world, wouldn't we? We could have peace in our little retreat.
Yeah.
And the more that we understand it, the more that we're not competing with others for resources that we think we need to be happy, and really realizing that we're happier when we're giving, then that's the only formula that really works.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
For a while, I went to the, a regular Catholic mass when I was growing up. But then I don't know what the switch was, Mom. I don't know how we did this, but we started going to the basement. There was a folk mass where all the priests had like acoustic guitars, and we did, Bob Dylan, and we did that song, "Let There Be Peace on Earth." It was a little more fun. It was, I guess I guess it was the wisdom of the sages of the Hare Krishna movement, the folk mass of the Catholic Church. And there was donuts. People would bring Dunkin' Donuts afterwards. It was like, okay, this is nice.
This works.
This is where we're trying to create a community. The Latin mass is dead. The regular English mass is dying. Let's think of something new. So
we
Q&A.
We got questions to do today. Yeah.
I'm really excited that Kaustubha is in the house with me.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really nice having him there. I want to give. It's been doing back.
Let's hear from
Mara.
Yes.
It's exhausting. It's exhausting, and she's doing it, and she's showing up, and she's got a good attitude.
You
I
guys,
can't do what you guys do though. So
and you guys,
careful to serve.
both of you gave me your own room. I'm staying in your room. Look at that. That's when you know you're taking it to the next. So you clear out of your own master bedroom, and you let me slide right in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was hoping you'd invite me in there with you to sort of to spoon.
You see, I would have if it wasn't except for those kind of statements. And others.
Well, you get cold sometimes. You get cold sometimes. I feel like you don't have the blanket high enough. I just want to tuck you.
Okay. Questions. Q&A.
All right. So
Or
we
do
got
have,
questions.
do we have announcements first?
Miss Mara, you got to stick your little mug in here.
All right.
That was a great dinner last night too. Mara,
Excellent. Burrito.
that was like she hit a grand slam home run with her burritos yesterday. And then we had Bhakti Udis out of this world cupcakes
To celebrate his birthday.
to celebrate his birthday and the 15th anniversary of Lal Govinda and Braja Radha Sundari.
Wedding anniversary.
Wedding anniversary, yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
Announcements?
Yeah.
Tomorrow, Urban Devi via the Bhakti Center at 11 a.m., 11 to 12:30. Rukmini Devi is speaking.
Mhm.
Monday night, Maya's single release party. in-
Whoa.
Oh,
Our
New York
good
City.
friend Maya is got a single release party. Where is that, Mayor?
In New York City at the Sanctuary.
The sanctuary.
Yeah, if you check her Instagram for details, it'll be there.
What's your Instagram handle? Vishnu
Vishnu Maya.
Maya. Okay.
And then also we'll have another show tomorrow, Q&A day at 8 a.m.
All right.
Q&A day, 8 a.m.
Let's do this.
You know, Kaustubha, before we get into questions, I just want to give a shout out to Achyuta Gopi and Ananta Govinda. These
Okay.
guys, if you know them, and they've been on the show before, they grew up, second generation Bhakti in Queens, New York,
Yeah.
chanting the holy name. And they just happen to be incredible singers, musicians, performers. But that is not their first job. Their first job is their devotees. They have a heart of gold.
That's
And
what
they-
makes their kirtan so special.
Their kirtan is so special. And they're not doing it for anybody except as an offering. That's how I feel when I see them. They could have nobody there.
Well, they prove it. They for years and years and years and years. Now Achyuta Gopi does kirtans in India with like
50,000 people.
I don't think it's
No,
50,000.
no,
no,
they're big, man.
but not. Well, maybe 50,000 like altogether, not in one event, but many thousands.
Many thousands.
Many thousands. And so now it's like that. But for years and years and years, we would do programs. They'll do like 3 or 4 programs a week. They'll go to Wednesday night at the Brooklyn Temple, Sunday night at the Brooklyn Temple. They used to come to the Broome Street Temple, Bhakti Center, and when the program's done, they just keep going with kirtan.
They keep going till like
When everybody's gone.
they
Keep going with kirtan. They go when we used to do Broome Street Temple, it would be like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm not joking.
Well, these
midnight, 1
guys-
o'clock in the morning before they would go.
They're this family. It's a family too, and they have their nephews and their right,
Yeah.
and they come together. This squad,
Yeah,
and it's so beautiful, and they really walk their talk.
you're bringing this up because I think there's been some criticism because they do
Just-
these big events.
Sometimes
people
people
question-
criticize. Oh, who are these guys? They're trying to make this into rock and roll or something like that.
Yeah.
No,
No, don't
don't get confused, and don't ruin your spiritual life by criticizing great souls
That's right.
who've dedicated their life.
If you say they're doing it for other reasons, you don't know them.
You don't know them,
Yeah.
and you don't know what you don't understand this philosophy as well.
Well,
You take this stuff and you do it with your deep integrity, and sometimes Krishna will keep you in a little room with one person, and sometimes he will put you on a great stage
thousands of people.
with tens of thousands of people, and
you accept the
you'll
service.
accept it.
Either way.
You'll do it. You'll speak to the wall. You'll speak to millions. But you just care. This is my offering.
That's exactly.
And they have been tagged by the hand of God
Yeah.
to do this great service
Okay.
and give this to the masses. It's so beautiful and magical. And if you're not following them on Instagram, when I'm watching them on Instagram, I was like, okay, the tsunami has hit. The Bhakti tsunami has hit.
Okay. All right. Now the Q&A has to hit.
Okay.
All right.
Ave Maria
for-
from New
let's
Jersey.
hear
Come
from
on
Ave
down.
Maria people.
Let's hear a big Harry Bull for Ave Maria.
You got to come right between us.
Ave Maria is Pure heart, we
Inside?
call her.
Okay.
Here, you come in the middle, Ave.
Oh, we're gonna do it like that, huh?
I think maybe like this.
Welcome, Ave Maria.
Thank you. Good morning.
She's from New Jersey, and you stumbled upon Bhakti. How? You got to tell everybody how you got here briefly.
Cleaning my house, looking for a podcast. Always looking for something philosophy.
See, cleaning
yoga.
is good. It's
Cleaning is
like,
good.
mm,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
that is revealed through cleaning.
So I stumbled across you guys, and I remember particularly you talking about the ocean, surfing the wave, and that really hit me. And
Oh, that
I
was
like,
like our
it was,
second
yeah,
episode.
yeah.
of
And
the-
actually, the first one where you talked about, so when you were talking about Bhagavatam,
Yeah.
I thought you were pronouncing Bhagavad-gītā incorrectly.
This guy's so dumb. A podcast, he can't even pronounce it.
Oh, this is a
Bhagavad-gītā.
different book they're reading.
Yeah, yeah. So that's how I started listening, and
Okay.
I was just hooked. Yeah, that's it.
Well, we're glad that you're hooked.
She landed, and she's staying, and we love her.
Okay, question.
So my question is, in like yoga studios that you go to, there's like not really a lot of talk about Gita. There's no talk about Bhagavatam, but they talk about the Yoga Sutras.
Sure.
So, and it's funny you talked about the sutras this morning a little bit, but yeah. But normally there's not
Not
really
so
any
much.
talk about sutras within our
Bhakti community.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a reason?
There are reasons for that.
There are reasons.
Yes.
Well, first of all, I'll just give a brief. I'll let Kaustubha elaborate on this more. But when I first started doing yoga in New York, there was no yoga studios. There was like a few, like a very few, and they were all connected with some Indian guru. Since then, in the 90s, say, things started shifting, and yoga became very secularized, meaning they kicked God right out of the picture. They kicked Brahman right out of the picture. They kicked the spiritual thing out of the picture. And they say, well, who needs God? We can just do this yoga minus God. And it became a very, I say maybe a sattvic rajasic workout where you're breathing, where there's a lot of exercise. They didn't emphasize breathing. But it was like instead of like jogging or sprinting or going to the gym, it was like, in one sense, doing less, but going deeper into your body. And they somehow cut it off from its origins. And so not only do you not hear about the Gita or the Yoga Sutras, you don't hear about anything spiritual necessarily. They make your breath sound spiritual. Okay, just hear your breath. It's like, okay, that's spiritual. So when we bring back these books like Yoga Sutras, Bhagavad-gītā, which are the origins of the yoga system, people are shocked, or people are thinking, well, why do you got to chant in the class? Why do you got to do that? That's what the class, this is what yoga is. You know, don't just if you don't want to throw in a spiritual facet to it, just call it, come to my sweaty stretch class. You know, don't call it yoga. We're just teaching how it's been taught.
Yes.
So, Kaustubha, you want to go into more details about the books of the yoga system? And
Well, yeah, and specifically about the Yoga Sutras, which is a fascinating book, and it's full of incredible insights especially into the mind. And yoga is all about dealing with the mind, whatever the path of yoga is. Now, the Bhagavad-gītā is a comparative study of so many different paths of yoga, and it describes a yoga like the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad-gītā. And there are mentions in other places, but especially the 6th chapter describes yoga in a very similar way to what Patanjali describes in more detail in the Yoga Sutras. When Krishna describes all these different paths of yoga in the Bhagavad-gītā, he does something with them that others that followed after him don't necessarily do. He describes in the Bhagavad-gītā all these different paths as paths to him, as paths that are meant to discover him, right? Like he'll say, a lot of times we talk about the 4 paths of yoga. You know, I think it was Vivekananda that really popularized that kind of categorization. But you see a similar categorization in the Bhagavad-gītā in the 13th chapter. Krishna says there's 4 different ways that people realize the Paramātmā. within themselves, right? And then he describes some do it through dhyana, which is the meditative type of yoga, which is very similar to what Patanjali teaches, going into samadhi. And then some do it through, I think he says Sankhya, which is like Jnana Yoga. And then he says some do it through Karma Yoga. And then he says there's the Shruti Parayana, those who have taken up the path of hearing, which is a part of the path of bhakti. But he describes this all are to discover him within themselves. In the 6th chapter, when he describes this meditative yoga, he says it all comes down to one realizes the Paramātmā or Krishna within their own heart, and then when they realize Krishna within themselves, they see Krishna everywhere. And then Krishna says, and then they're always remembering me, I'm always remembering them, and then it starts to move into this field of bhakti. The Yoga Sutras don't go there. The Yoga Sutras aren't going to say that the goal of yoga is to reestablish your love, your prema for Krishna. The Yoga Sutras will validate bhakti practices, but they'll say essentially what they're saying is they're a means to achieving samadhi, that you can enter into the state of, and samadhi is practiced to achieve something called Kaivalya. And Kaivalya is like moksha. It means when the self is entirely free of any connection to the material energy, when we're no longer influenced by that at all, then you've achieved this state called Kaivalya. The Yoga Sutras wants to get you there. And they're saying, there's a lot of really difficult yoga practices that will get you there. Or you could do bhakti. And, or you could give your life to God. Mm. And then it describes, it uses the word Ishvara, and it describes Ishvara. And it says a lot of the same things that Krishna says about himself. Om, is the representation and sound of the Ishvara. You should chant that. You should do japa to meditate on it. The Ishvara is the one that taught the science of yoga to the ancients. Krishna says all these things about himself in Bhagavad-gītā and more. But you could say that the Yoga Sutras are teaching of yoga, it doesn't take God out of the picture. It's within a theistic, it's within a theistic context, but the goal isn't to develop love for God. The practice of meditating on God is to achieve freedom for the material energy. Whereas in bhakti, we're saying we can practice bhakti to become free from the influence of the material energy for the purpose of discovering this love of God, which is inside ourselves. And so therefore the Yoga Sutras it's in many ways it runs parallel with the teachings of bhakti. And it'll give fascinating insights. But those are all there in Bhagavatam too. But always with the emphasis on and much, we would say much more. There's going to be much, and I'll share. We chant every morning. We chant this Nasta Paresha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevya. That by regularly hearing the Bhagavatam and by serving the devotees, that this influence of the material energy, it shrinks down to practically nil, and then loving devotional service is established within the heart as an irrevocable fact. And then the next verse is this. It says, thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness. This means, and when we say unalloyed goodness, this means beyond the material mode of goodness. So this is the Kaivalya, that the last verse of the Yoga Sutra says that when the modes of material nature become inert for this person, then you've achieved this state of Kaivalya and you're experiencing your own true nature. So when this says once established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, this means that state of Kaivalya. The person whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service, with bhakti to the Lord, gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead. Right. This the word here is the phrase here is Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam. Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam. This is where it's all leading. That to realize Bhagavan, the truth of Bhagavan, to fully realize it, to fully experience it, that's where bhakti is leading us. That I can know God as a person and feel this love. And the Yoga Sutras isn't going to teach that. The Yoga Sutras is going to say bhakti is real, and it's a really good way to become free of the influence of the modes of material nature. But he leaves it there. He doesn't go further. And why? Likely for similar reasons to why, like what Raghunath Prabhu was describing about how yoga studios, they don't teach so much about it, because some people aren't going to be into that. Some people are going to be, they're going to have a hesitation to hear that kind of message. Yeah.
People have a
Yeah.
fear of God. They don't want to deal with
Yeah.
God. They've had a bad experience. They've had a
Yeah.
counterfeit bill, so to speak.
Yes.
And now they're sort of like hesitant to accept even a genuine bill,
Yeah.
right? So they just refrain. I just want to work out. No talking, please. Just let me
Right.
sweat. You got 45 minutes here.
Yeah. Sometimes they even promote like that. No mantras, no this, no that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But and
There was a studio in LA that said, no mantras, no chanting, no some.
spirituality.
That was their advertisement. Yeah. And I just thought, no yoga.
Yeah. But also like in the 9th chapter of the Gita, you see it opens up with Krishna saying, "Now I'm going to share with you the most confidential knowledge," right? And that becomes, when you get to the end of the chapter, he's saying, "Worship me, surrender to me, love me. You're dear to me. You'll come to me because you're so dear to me." But so he opens up by saying, "Yeah, I'll share you this most confidential knowledge, Arjuna, and you'll understand it. Why? Because you're free of envy. Because you don't. When I start to tell you all these incredible things about myself, how the whole material creation is working under my direction, a lot of people are going to hear that and be very uncomfortable with that." And he's saying, you're not uncomfortable with that, so you can understand it. But then he goes on in the 9th chapter to say, but other people, that they'll know me in other ways, or they'll approach me in other ways. Some as like the non-manifest, the oneness. Some as the universal form. They'll so they'll approach him in different ways. But for the bhakti yogis, we want to know the ultimate. We want to know, and that ultimate is very personal and beautiful. So like the song that we were singing last night, the Damodarastika, that goes there. He's praying again. He's making this point really clear. Satyavrata Muni, super realized person, beyond having achieved the stage of Kaivalya, beyond the influence of the modes. He's saying that Vadam Deva Mokshamna Moksha Vidimva. I'm not interested in Kaivalya. I'm not interested in moksha. Right? Why would I be interested in that when I see your form? When I see you in this incredibly beautiful personal way, I've lost all interest in just achieving Kaivalya. That doesn't interest me. It's this love, and then he begins to describe it. And when you don't understand it, then it's saying, oh, his cheeks are red because they've been kissed by Mother Yashoda. A lot of these yogis will be like, that's the mundane stuff. That's the world. That's the materials where there's form and all that. No, you don't understand that there's spiritual form. And these are all clarified in the Bhagavad-gītā, and then they're going into great detail in Bhagavatam. Yoga Sutras isn't going to take us there, so therefore we respect it, but it's not a direct. We read there's different books for people practicing different types of yoga, and so the Yoga Sutras is for that person that wants to practice Ashtanga yoga without necessarily being interested in Vishnu or Krishna.
Yeah. That's the beautiful thing about these teachings from the East.
Yeah.
There's nuances of
They'll
God realization.
meet you where you're at.
Where
Yeah.
that you have a proclivity towards like a oneness, a light. Okay, we got that covered. A deva, a devi, got you covered.
That too, yeah.
Theism, got that covered. There's so many different. What type of form of divinity? Whereas I was never taught that growing up Catholic. I was just taught there's God and there's the devil. Pick one. And you're going to stay in purgatory till you get there.
Right. Yeah, here's the line in the sand. Either you're on this side of it or you're on that side of it.
Yeah.
Whereas like Krishna will say in the Bhagavad-gītā, people that worship the devas for the material things of this world are ultimately worshiping me, but they're doing it in the wrong way. But I'll encourage them to do that from within the heart because it's got them moving in the right direction.
Yeah, he says, don't discourage them.
Yeah, don't
discourage them. You're like, wait a second, Christian, you just said they're wasting their time. I know, but don't discourage them.
Yeah.
So it's nuanced.
It's more nuanced.
So incredible like that. And anyway, that's a great question. And I think it might be the job. And I know that me and Lori and Sita and Bobby, we're really into this, that the yoga teachers in this world now, It's time to put God and spirit back in the center of a yoga
Okay.
practice and yoga teachings, or else you're giving them a workout. And workouts are a good thing. People do not take care of their body, but at the same time, people want more than that too. And in order to sort of resurrect the yoga system, it's important to learn this stuff and put it back in, impregnate that yoga class with spiritual sound, spiritual vibrations, and therefore give the people more.
Give the people more.
Give them more.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
for that.
Ava
wonderful-
Maria. Harry Ball for Ava Maria. A good question.
Good question.
Good question.
I think
Oh,
Kishore, go be the bright light of Vermont. Where is she? Is she here? Oh, there she is.
bright light.
Just rose like the sun on the horizon of this table.
oh, the bright light of Vermont. Kishori Gopi, we love her. Big part of our community, and she's got a great community going on there in Burlington, Vermont. Harry Bowl.
Bull. Harry Bull, the last time I sat between the two of you was on my wedding day,
Wonderful day.
which
Wonderful
is
day.
pretty cool. First, I just want to thank you both so much for all of your service, for starting this podcast, for all of your years of service and practice before that, for inspiring all of us and hundreds of them, and
Maybe not hundreds of thousands, but
300,000 people watched one of your shows.
no, not 300,000.
Oh,
The more
Okay, we're headed there
our
then.
biggest download day was 27,000.
okay.
Bad.
Not bad.
That's pretty
At
darn
least as
good.
far as I know, as far as I'm aware.
Downloads.
Oh,
Maybe
there's millions
that's
of
what it
downloads.
was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's millions of downloads.
Okay, so
I don't
all
know,
the
maybe
millions
like-
of downloads,
Yes.
and people are downloading
Okay.
the Shastra,
And
and then
you never know where it could be. Maybe there will be. Maybe something's going to happen. We'll get on some podcast.
Maybe it's
it
reached
blows
another
up.
planet, and
I'm being
there there's
real
millions of
here. You're,
listeners.
you're mocking me, but I'm being
no, no,
real.
no.
All it takes is one influencer to go, oh my God, Wisdom Sage, that's cool. Mentioning on their podcast. Next thing you know, you got millions and millions of listeners. So who knows when someone might
There
hear
have been
this.
millions of listeners to Raghunath, though. On Joe Rogan's show,
That was
literally
actually
millions.
interesting.
Literally millions.
And not only that, because Joe Rogan's so big,
Yeah.
if you Google or YouTube search the Bhagavad-gītā, Joe Rogan, Bhagavad-gītā, and me come
It's
up.
you.
It's-
There he is. No.
okay,
That wasn't me. That was Lord Chaitanya's magic. That's the magic show going on in Kali Yuga right now.
I believe that in the history of the earth as we know it, that was the largest presentation of the Bhagavad-gītā in one, like in one sitting ever done in history. It was you. Raghu.
Me? Widow me?
Yeah, because we don't even know how many. It probably, like people that actually heard it or watched it on YouTube, is like the whole thing. Which-
YouTube's not the biggest way it gets out there.
Right.
Spotify, Apple.
So it was probably
Okay.
at least over 20 million or something like that. And then they took it and chopped it up into millions of pieces, and then that goes out all over more millions and millions and more.
It's actually
It's insane.
unbelievable. And it's part of a magical plan that's happening in this universe right now, I believe.
And you are the most important part. of it.
No, no. I'm an insignificant, tiny part of it. And I was used.
God
and I-
bless you.
okay. Now, in the material world, no one likes to be used. Isn't that true?
You want to
You
be.
know, this guy used me, or that, I was used, and my boss used me. In the spiritual world, we're like, use me. Use me.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. Please use me. I feel so insignificant, but if I have something I can offer, offer it.
That's right.
Right?
so I feel like hundreds of thousands was a fair statement.
It was
for
fair.
that.
It was
Okay.
wasn't enough.
Maybe it's more than that. It's more than that. And yeah, and then just on a personal level, any of the light that Krishna, has given me, you guys have made it so much brighter. So thank you for
You're the
for
best.
that.
Okay.
So my question, I'm actually going to read it because I tried to make it really articulate,
Yeah,
so I
okay.
don't
That's fair.
overdo it. And it's about the nuances of prayer. And I've really been sitting with this, and many people in our community, one in the room too, we've had many conversations about this. So I experience.
Speak right into the top. Like the top
Okay.
part.
I experience prayer as this informal heart-to-heart conversation with Krishna. In addition to my japa practice, which inherently is a meditation and a prayer, and I realize that Krishna already knows my heart and my prayer. Yet sometimes when I'm praying for guidance or clarity around something particular, specific in my life, I'll feel an inner sense or response arrive, like I deeply know. And my question is, from a bhakti perspective, how can I discern when that guidance is truly coming from the Supersoul, from Krishna in my heart, versus when it's the voice of my mind or my ego? And what about when I don't feel like I'm getting a clear response? How can I stay connected in that space of uncertainty and trust that Krishna is still guiding even in the silence?
This is a very good question.
Thank you.
You want to start it?
I'll start with that.
Whenever
I
you're
was
ready.
saying yesterday, I pray for loud direction. I pray loudly
And you want a loud response.
and I want a loud response. And that's what I say to Krishna. I said, I need a loud response, a loud directional pointing of the finger, a kick in the butt in a direction. And I find oftentimes in my life, I've gotten them. Like it becomes obvious. But I remember being once in a position, I think I've shared this before, where I was really in a hard fork in the road in my life. And it was a really critical place. And I was broken. I was so broken. Oh, I was in India in tears. And I needed to speak to Radhanath Swami. And he was leaving that day. And he was leaving at 2 a.m. And I just got to India and I waited for him. I got in like at 11 o'clock at night and I waited outside until he got, because he had to fly out somewhere. And I just broke down in tears in front of him. And he told me a story about he was in a fork in the road in his life. And he said, I didn't know what to do. I won't get into the details, but he just said, I did not know what to do. I said, well, what did you do? What did you do? I need an answer. And he goes, I prayed, like you were saying, you prayed, and I waited. And I was like, I go, you waited?
Waiting is the hardest part.
I was like, you waited? I was like, all right, well, whatever. I can wait. How long did you wait? And he goes, I waited 10 years. I was like, 10 years? You waited 10 years? He goes, in 10 years, it became very, very
clear.
obvious.
Oh.
Very, because you don't want to jump the gun. You don't want to go. And I've seen people do this. They jump the gun. Hey, I'm supposed to just give this up. Yeah, I'm supposed to just walk away. Yeah, I'm supposed to just take this up and leave that behind. Careful, because we have a lot of personal material ambition woven into my external spiritual self. I have this external spiritual guy, but we have a lot of materialism woven into our DNA. And so that waiting is very beautiful. And then Krishna, God, the universe, will make things very obvious. And you know what I did? I waited 14 years. And then it became really obvious. Like the whole world would say, it's obvious now. And so that is a beautiful question, because we don't want to be impulsive. My previous life, so to speak, my previous conditioning, I was that impulsive guy. Oh, yeah, just cut it. Yeah, just quit. Yeah, just walk away. We don't want to be that person anymore. We want to be thoughtful. We want to be, pensive. We want to make the right decision. And sometimes it's that time and that waiting that makes a difference.
So part of the prayer could also be to pray for like great patience.
Yeah, pray for great princes.
But then how long do you have to wait for the answer to that one?
Yeah. And I still pray. I still make it obvious. Please, Krishna, make it obvious. I can't figure this one out, and I'm leaving it to you. Okay, that's my answer.
That was to me, that was just a really, really great answer, because it's utsaha nischaya dharyat, right? We need to be enthusiastic, right? But you may be thinking about Raghunath has been thinking about teaching the
I'm doing it. I'm going to do it.
All right.
Nectar of instruction.
Yeah.
When I get back from India.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But they're saying that it takes enthusiasm, determination, patience as well, and patience. kind of patience and wisdom are two things that really kind of go together, you know. And I think that was what Raghunath said. You see, I think naively, I'm not saying you're being naive. I'm just saying, but I think my relatives, very close relatives.
I have been called that. Yeah.
But I think we all maybe naively, or religious people naively maybe, we think, yeah, well, now that I've accepted God, then I should be able to turn to God. God's going to talk to me, and so on. But there's a wonderful. Ultimately, our path of bhakti gets boiled down to really simple ideas. But there's all of this, very philosophical, biological, metaphysical analysis of what's going on, and especially including what's going on in our thoughts. And as we're speaking about the Yoga Sutras, they speak a lot about it. It opens right up. It's like, it's when you slow down your thoughts that you begin to perceive your own nature. Right? That's the teachings of Patanjali in the Yoga Sutras, and all these different yoga paths are going to be talking about thoughts. And what are they? Like from the empirical, like say from the field of empiric science, let's say. A lot of theories, the prominent theory is that your thoughts are just these kind of, like, it's a chemical process going on in your brain, and things are getting fired there, but that's and so you think you're hearing the voice of God. No, it's just a chemical thing that's going on in your brain. No, I'm not saying you. I'm saying this is their response to, like, someone who's saying, well, you did say that sometimes you feel a deep conviction. They would argue that deep conviction is just a chemical thing going on in your brain. And then there'd be like psychiatrists that are going to analyze, like, the mind, right? Which is something that you can't see and touch. Like the empiricist wants to talk about the brain because that's their field of study, and the psychiatrist or psychologist is talking about the field of the mind. And they look at the patterns of the mind, and they're saying, oh, that voice that you heard was like your search for stability and meaning in life in response to other things that have happened to you in your past. And, they'll analyze it like that. And the Bhagavatam's analysis is saying that you are this spark of conscious energy. You have your own thoughts without the brain and even without the mind. But it's all being filtered through a mind and manifesting in your body through your brain. And then that's sending off all these chemicals in your body, so that, like, when you feel a certain emotion, your heart starts to beat at a different rate, or different chemicals in the body are released that have physical effects and so on. But so we're saying that we are this spark of spiritual energy, and we have something called free will. And this is the subtle part, and this is where it gets more nuanced than just like, okay, I accept God, so now God speak to me. Because we're telling God what Krishna is going to say in the Bhagavad-gītā, that I'm situated in the hearts of every living entity, right? And what's it? Matas smritir jnanam apohanam cha. That from me come knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness.
So you get the memory from God. You also get forgetfulness too.
Yeah, right.
Krishna can let you forget and act so you can just act out on your passions.
Well, why would he do that? I've turned to him and I've said, now I believe in you. But he's saying, well, you're giving me mixed messages, and I'm responding to the mixed messages. Because on one hand, you're saying you and but you, but on the other hand, you're saying, I'm seeking my happiness in this way. I'm seeking my happiness in that way. I'm seeking my happiness in all these different ways. And if you want that, I'll give it to you. And so we don't know that we're actually hearing, we might be hearing the voice of God speaking to us from within the heart, this Paramātmā within the heart, speaking to us directly, giving us a clear, undiluted message. Or we may be hearing messages that are programmed within our mind, that we've built that mind based on our desires over the course of even maybe more than just this, like, one lifetime. So we have to really become completely let go of these separate desires. And then he said, oh, if you have no separate desires, then I will speak directly to you. Then you'll as Raghunath was saying, if you just want to be my instrument, then I'll be giving you knowledge and remembrance and forgetfulness, so that you'll be operating fully as my instrument with your own free will. You'll be operating as my instrument in this world, and that's kind of our goal. But we're in between, right? We have this mixed devotion where we're like, I do want Krishna, and I still, and how deep that letting go gets is something that it's kind of like we go through one layer and we say, oh, there's another layer, and then we go through that layer and we say, oh, there's another layer, and we go through another, and a lot of our programming is hesitant to, like, for instance, there's a lot of teachings about, like, and Raghunath speaks really well on this, like, a lot, like when he says things like, my children aren't my own, that idea can be a little scary. No, they are mine, and I have to protect them and love them, and that love that I feel for them is the deepest feeling in life. And what the teachings of Bhakti are saying is, you're close, but you're not quite there. Love is the deepest thing, but you'll feel that love in truth when you feel it deeply for God first, and then feel love for everyone else in that context. And so even we're like, we maybe really have made a lot of progress towards letting go of the cruder pleasures in life, elevated up to a higher level of sattva guna, and still have deep emotional connection. The path of Bhakti is saying, it's not saying that you need to eliminate those emotional connections, which actually Patanjali's path is practically saying.
To eliminate them.
Yeah, essentially. It doesn't speak like a book on Jnana Yoga, which like says that kind of thing like really, really explicitly. But essentially, it's saying let go of. It doesn't go into detail about that, but it's easily interpreted that way. Let me put it that way. But we're not saying that. We're saying, but you have to understand everything in relation to God. When you see that my child is not my child, they're a child of God. I'm a child of God. We're both children of God. My spouse, they're also connected to God. And as we've said in the past, and we're all moving to God together. Now you've got the whole thing kind of, and now your love in that context is in truth, and it won't disappoint you. It won't deteriorate or manifest in some way that becomes painful or disappointing. So if we're giving mixed messages, I want you, God, but I still want this world. Even if we might pray, and we have to pray like this, dear God, I'm due to my past desires and actions, I'm experiencing this world through a warped mind that's full of desires that I don't want those desires anymore. I want you to hear this prayer, and when I'm essentially praying other ways, and by my actions and by what I pursue, how I spend my time, what I consume. Those are prayers saying, this is where I want happiness. God, please provide it. He's like, if you want that, then you're in the realm of karma. Well, you'll get that according to the good merit that you accrue. We're saying, please take me off that program. The sooner the better. And he's hearing how sincere that is. And he's in the heart. And when we say, I want to forget the idea that I find happiness in this way and that way, I want to let go of that, then he'll give us that, But maybe the one verse that we could say is most essential to getting to your question is this, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pratipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tvam yena mamopayantate, that to those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love. Now, what does that mean with love? It means with no other exterior motive, right? To those that are constantly devoted to serving me, not because they want something of this world, but with love. Dadami buddhi yogam tvam. I give them the buddhi yogam, this ability to connect with me, yogam, with through discernment, right? Through reason. I give them the ability to do that. That means now he's kind of like getting into your machine directly and working with you to fulfill that desire. And so now you're beginning to hear his voice more than these other programmed voices. So that's the way it's done. But Prabhupada said something. I tried to look it up quick because I would like to articulate it exactly as he said it, but it's pretty close like this. And I'm trying to remember. He concludes a commentary this way, and it's really nice. But he speaks about God within the heart, this Chaita Guru, that God is there speaking to us. And he says, well, of course, we say there's Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, right? These are the ways that we figure out, is this message actually God's message, or is it a message from my mind, my program mind? And Shastras, the sacred text, we say these are infallible. Like, this isn't the stuff of this world. This is a vibration way beyond that, that's eternal and true. But even if we have that, we interpret it in different ways, and two people are looking at the same thing, and two people are looking at these texts, and one is saying Chuta Gopi is motivated materially, and then another person say, what are you talking about? It's like, right? So like, we interpret it in different ways. How do we know when God is speaking to us and we're seeing it clearly, or where it's been clouded? Well, we want to hear God in the heart. But he says that truth will be spoken to us by God in the heart, and then internally, and then confirmed externally by the spiritual master. And so that means that, like, there are people who have purified their perception more so than myself. I want to get their input, whether what I'm hearing in my heart is God's direction, or whether it's my own desire. And so that person, because their field of perception is clearer than mine, and what to speak of their own being, a sense being removed a bit from it, also is helpful, then they can confirm whether or not what I'm hearing is, what this voice that I'm hearing is the true voice or not. So all of that is very relevant. But I think where Raghunath went, I think in one sense, that was what the Prabhupada statement was. It's spoken to us internally by God in the heart, and confirmed externally by the spiritual master. But this idea of being patient is patient because it may be patient because, like, the external circumstances will finally show us exactly what to do. And until that time, you have to serve with detachment, right? Essentially, that's what it's saying, whether it was you or his circumstance. Like, I wish I could just make the move, but I don't know if the move is the right move. But I think I'll get relief when I make the move.
Right.
And it's like, you know what? You have to hang on and not get that relief yet. Your relief has to be that I'm acting under the direction of, under the guidance, under Krishna's guidance. And that is done by the direction of the Guru. But then you have to be patient. And then at a certain point, it'll be clear. It may be that the external circumstance made it clear. It may be that our internal perception became more clear. But we can't say, give it to me now. But that patience, like we say, the waiting is the hardest part. The hardest part is how we demonstrate our devotion. That's where it's not just like, God, tell me what to do. Okay, now I'll do it. It's not. It's like, even if I'm not hearing the direction right now, I'm going to continue to serve you and patiently wait. But whatever step I make, especially like a big important step, I want to do it with your blessings. If under the blessings of how you spoke to us through the channel of the sacred text, through the channel of the Guru, through the channel of the great saints of the past, I want to do it under the blessings of all of these, and I'm going to seek those blessings, both enthusiastically and with determination, and also with patience. Yeah,
that's nice.
And then we may not be able to make the move that we want to make immediately, but we'll know that we're under the shelter of the spiritual energy rather than the material energy.
I like how you pull that back. We make our choices with the blessings.
Yeah.
We're waiting to feel the blessed.
Yeah.
Obvious that's what they want, the blessings.
Right.
And just because we are just because God is in the heart and just because, I'm practicing bhakti doesn't mean we're listening also. If you got a teenager, you can give them good, loving advice. Here's the deal. There's going to be older guys at the party. Okay. I want to know, are their parents going to be home if you go to the party? No, Mom. No. You don't know. You have no clue what goes on out there. You have no clue whatsoever. So sometimes a teenager will say they'll listen a little, but a lot of times they'll just talk to the hand. Mom, talk to the hand. I'm not listening. I've got an opinion of what the party is going to be like, who's going to be there, how I'm going to enjoy from this party. But if they actually just sat and heard the advice of the parent, it could protect them from the greatest problems.
And we tend to think we're the first child, but actually there's a lot of the second child in us as well.
Well, I'm a spiritual person. I have a spiritual outfit. I have a spiritual name. I carry these spiritual bag around with me with the spiritual beads in them. I've been to many, many kirtans.
I think that's it.
Oh.
Was that helpful?
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Very good question.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks.
So tomorrow, Q&A day tomorrow again.
At 8.
And today, are we celebrating Grandma's birthday today?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Birthday party.
Tomorrow, Mom. The birthday's tomorrow. We're celebrating. I want to thank Grandma Terry for being here. Let's spin this. Say hello to everybody. Oh, wait a second. We're here live Wisdom on the Sages Retreat. Everybody wave to the cameras. And I want to thank everybody and all their questions. Be more Q&A day tomorrow for this Wisdom of the Sages Supersoul Farm Retreat. If you want to go to India with us, we are going, my friends, January 11th to the 23rd at the Govardhan Eco Village for the Wisdom Training. Join me. January 11th will be my 60th birthday. 60th birthday. Join me in India. And our teacher training is happening. If you're interested in the teacher training to re-spiritualize the yoga community, come join us in India for the month. Hang out with Kaustubha, myself, Miss Mara, all our great yoga teachers like Lori Pag, Siva Sundari, Bobby Marchand, and Miss Radha Swami. Thanks everybody for joining us. Let the magic continue to flow. And Namaha Haribo!